Oh, hello there and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to have a look up close and personal at the brand new Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Batgirl Donatello 2-pack from DC Collectibles. Available only at GameStop or eBay. So just as with the rest of the 2-packs that I've reviewed, this 2-pack is exactly the same. It's a big black box with the Batman vs. TMNT logo in the left-hand corner, the names of the characters on the bottom, and a great big window in the front so you can see everything. Top of the box has the logo again, and the side of the box has the names of the artists, and the back has all of this fun stuff. You got all the rest of the figures that you can get in the series, with a picture of the ones that you're getting in the package in the top left, and a fancy schmancy write-up over here. Pause it if you want to, you know the drill. Certainly this is a 2-pack that I've been really excited about, and I can't wait for the Michelangelo, Alfred, and the Ra's al Ghul Shredder 2-packs to be released. For now, let's just get Batgirl and Donatello out of the package and have a closer look at them. Oh, don't they look absolutely fantastic? Just saying. I mean, you could say, I don't have to really, the review's over, they look fantastic, they get my seal of approval. I'm kidding, let's look at them closer. Batgirl comes with her bat grapple, an open and a closed hook, 2 extra sets of hands, her cell phone, a batarang, a slice of pizza, and then the serum, the thing of it, these things. Donatello, on the other hand, comes with that extra head with the baseball hat with the eye monocle on it and the gritty teeth. He comes with the turtle communicator that, oh look, it opens up. He comes with 2 extra sets of hands, a slice of pizza, and some ooze and a bow staff. Now let's look at them both up close individually, starting with Donatello. Now this figure is not unlike the other turtle figures in the series. Very basically painted with black lines that are supposed to exemplify his muscles and creases in his skin and whatnot. He's got a D for a belt buckle, got a pouch on the side there. I like this guy's belt strap actually with the over the shoulder thingamajiggy. The whole figure looks pretty much really cool except for the face sculpt, which the sculpt and the paint detail on this looks good enough for what it is. So I'm not complaining about that. It's more of a general, I never really liked the look of his face in the cartoon to begin with. Like, that's a real I poop my pants face and I'm trying to hide it. Yep. And when we turn this guy around, here's what he looks like from the back. Again, just as cool as the other turtles that I've reviewed, but there are differences in that his elbow pads are completely unique in comparison to Leonardo's and Raph's. The same thing with the knee pads. He has his complete own knee pads. Obviously, his belt system here is all his own as well. And he's got this here place to put his bow staff right there in his back. Now at this point, the average person might be saying to themselves, Self, how do I fit the bow staff in the hole? Because clearly the hole is too small to fit the wood. I can't get it in there. This is such a stupid oversight. I want my money back. But the reality is, poof, you can actually just take the bow staff apart. It's been designed to come apart, and you just stick the one half right there in the holster, and then you take the top of the bow staff or the bottom, depending on how you put it in there, and it just goes back together like that, and Donatello is ready for all the good times and hand-free enjoyment. Not that kind of hands-free enjoyment. I meant he can now, like, hold pizza and high-five and karate chop and stuff on account of the fact... I think you get the point. Now as for Donatello's articulation, let's have a closer look. The head itself is on that ball peg. We know it's a ball peg because it's got to be to change heads. It doesn't really do very much ball peggy type stuff. It rotates and goes around and around, but that's really all it does. The arms are on little hinges in there. You can see them. I would think they're ball pegs, but they're not. They're actually hinges. And the same thing with his biceps. They're on a single hinge that you can get 90 degrees, and it goes back and forth and rotates. You've also got the wrists, which are on rounded hinges. So the arms are, for me, articulated enough. There is articulation in that torso, just like with the last ones. Only this articulation actually does something more than the others. It rotates and turns. So this is not a completely dead articulation point. Then you got Donnie's balls here in his groin. You can see exactly how much articulation they got because they go out and around and all around like that. And there is quite a bit of movement. Then you got the double jointed crunchy knees. And then you got the feet. Well, just look at that. That's really, really good. Not a lot forward. If I'm being honest, there really isn't a lot forward with these feet, but definitely back and everywhere else, just not forward. Seems to me like a pretty good amount of articulation with this figure. I'm certainly satisfied with it, but only time will tell whether these joints will stay nice and tight or they get loose and wibbly. Now for our first comparison, I thought that I would bring in two animated versions of Donatello. The one on the right is the SH Figuarts and the one on the left is the NECA version. And then I'll bring in two shorties. The one on the right is from the first run of action figures based on the cartoon series that Nickelodeon put out a couple years ago. And the one on the left is obviously the classic.
He's brown. He looks like a turd with a bandana. Donatello.
We have a NECA movie turtle that came in the 4-pack that was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive a few years back and was oh so hard to get my hands on. And then on the other side, we have a NECA original comic book series, Donatello. Dude, NECA does such a good job with their turtles. And that about wraps up our look at Donatello, so let's bring in Batgirl. Now, out of the 3 DC Bat Family characters that so far have been released to the general public, that being Batman, Damian, and Batgirl, I gotta tell you that this here Babs is absolutely my favorite. Why? Well, let's just look at her from toe to head. I think that DC Collectibles did a really good job in recreating Barbara's animated TMNT versus Batman look, so they get marks for that. The color palette looks good. The paint, for the most part, is actually really, really neat. We're not supposed to look at these things up super close and personal, and they just did a really good job with the overall design work on this figure and the body proportions. And the face sculpt ain't too shabby either. For one, it's accurate to the animated feature, and it's done pretty well. The paint is tidy enough for me. I'm not going to complain about this. It could be, it could be perfect, but heck, nothing's perfect in this life. For a mass-produced Batgirl figure, I don't think that we should be expecting perfection. But I do like the fact it's got those white lenses that make it look like she's from The Batman, the animated cartoon show that was on in the early 2000s. And now on to the Batgirl comparison part of the video, where only 3 shall be doing the honors. The icons, the multiverse, and the essential. And I've chosen them all because they all have that Yvonne Craig 66 inspired Batgirl of Burnside suit. If you're someone that likes to mix and match your figures, you probably could swap this Batgirl in with the multiverse, but certainly she's about the same size as the icons and the multiverse, and definitely at least of the same quality as DC Collectibles' other offerings. As for this Batgirl's articulation, let's hop on the find out train together. What does that head do? The hair's kind of hard and it does get in the way a little bit. There's really not a lot you can do with her noodle. Although she does not have a tornado waist, she does have that rounded ball joint in the middle of the torso. It's kind of above her hips. It's okay. I mean, could be better, could be worse. The arms connected at the torso and the armpits have these little tiny hinges. Up about that far. You can move them up like that if you really want to, but that's pretty much the range of motion you're going to get with those arms. Single jointed 90-degree elbows that can also rotate, so I'm happy with those. We can see here that her fist is connected by ball joints, and the ball joints are on little tiny hinges. She's got ball joints in the groin as well. It would be cooler if these were drop hinges, but they're not. And so yeah, there's going to be, a very limited range of motion. Oops, the leg just came off. Well, now you can definitely see that these are not drop hinges. Either way, there's definitely a very limited range of motion with Batgirl's legs, until you get to the knees, which are double jointed, always something that I'm happy to see. And then the ankles are on hinges that attach inside the ankle, but they're also ball joints inside the foot, so they can rotate, they can pivot. The ankles on this Batgirl are pretty good. Not a lot of forward motion, just like with the rest of them, but definitely a lot of back and side to side and swiveliness. Alright, so now that we look at absolutely everything, what is my final verdict of the Batgirl Donatello 2-pack based on the Batman vs. TMNT animated film? Well, I wish that I could say that it was my favorite altogether of the 2-packs that I've opened so far, but it's not. But I definitely like this Batgirl figure very much, definitely more than the Robin, and at least on par, maybe a little bit more than the Batman. As for the Donatello, I like the figure itself, and I think that he's definitely got some really cool looking details, and I like the fact that his articulation is just a little bit better than the other 2 turtles I've reviewed. Although, as mentioned before, I'm not a big fan of the face sculpt, and that has nothing to do with the figure itself really, because it has to match how he looked in the animated feature. That's more of a mark against the design of the character in the first place for the movie. These figures, in my opinion, get about a 7 out of 10 for articulation, about an 8.5 out of 10 for their paint apps. Sculpted detail gets about a 9 out of 10 because they really do look very good. And then also, you gotta love the fact that DC Collectibles jumped on making action figures based on the animated feature, like right away. Basically, if you and I were out on the toy hunt together and you asked me whether or not I feel like this is a reasonable purchase for like the $50 that it costs American if you find it in GameStop and only in GameStop, I'd say yeah, because that's the only place that you can find it. So if you want it, you gotta pony up the cash. And if $50 is too much for you to pay to get your hands on these, then chances are you're probably never gonna get your hands on them because you're not gonna find them any cheaper. Anyway, super friends, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Thank you so much for tuning in today to see my humble review of the Donatello Batgirl Batman vs. TMNT 2-pack from DC Collectibles, available only at GameStop. If you liked the video, please leave me a thumbs up. Any comments, pop them down below where the comments go. And if you want to see more of my face and hands show up in your inbox, I know this video doesn't have my face in it. There, now it does. Then I invite you today on behalf of myself and the rest of the super friends to join the DC squad simply by hitting the subscribe button and then possibly ringing that notification bell if you really like what you saw here today. And with that, I'm done yakking. See you next time. Have a DC day, everybody. Take care.